This video is a part of the Bible Beauty Co. New Year, New Level Faith YouTube collaboration that's running from Thursday, December 28th through Sunday, December 31st. There are 8 other powerful women participating in this collaboration. I've linked the New Year, New Level Faith playlist link down below. Be sure to head to their channel, show them some support, and let them know that I sent you. Hey though, can you believe that we're in a new year already? Where has the time gone, right? And with the new year comes a lot of mixed emotions. There's joy, there's hope, there's anticipation. You're probably setting your goals and your action plans in place. But then there could also be fear, there could be anxiety, there could be doubt, worry, all these things that come into play. But no matter where you might be on the spectrum, the one thing that I do know that you need for this year and going forward is a new level of faith. You need faith to carry you through life circumstances. And I know for me, one thing that I've learned over the years is that faith comes with a level of trust. And when I trust God, I can rest in God. And honestly, the biggest faith lesson that I've learned in 2023 is resting in the Lord. And rest isn't just physical. We can all lay down and take a nap. We can all say, okay, I'll relax today, have a spa day. It's deeper than just self-care regimens and typical naps and things like that. It really is rest for your soul. One of my favorite verses in the Bible is Matthew 11:28, and it says, "Come to me all who are weary and heavy burdened, and I will give you rest." And that rest is soul rest. That's rest for your mind, rest for your will and your emotions. And you can't get to that place of rest unless you really trust God. Because think about it, when you trust something or someone, you're not stressed about it, you're not worried, you know that it's going to be taken care of, you know that you're secure. If I go and pull a chair from my dining table right now, I trust that that chair is going to hold me up. So I'm not worried that I'm going to sit in the chair and it's going to break and I'm going to fall. I trust the chair. If I ask my mom to do something, or a good friend that has a good track record, because some people don't, but I ask my mom or a good friend that has a good track record to do something, I'm not stressed about it, I'm not worried, I trust them, and I rest in me asking them because I know that they will come through. And so in order for us to really rest in the Lord, we have to know Him. And in order to know Him, you have to spend time with Him. Because if you don't spend time with Him and you don't know Him, how are you going to trust Him? So in order to know God, that means that we have to spend time with Him. We have to be reading His Word. We have to be praying. We have to be seeking His face. But even more so than that, we also have to take our hand off the steering wheel. And I know for me, that's preaching to the choir. That's a lot easier said than done, because a lot of times we can be control freaks. Let's just call it what it is. We trust in our own abilities because we know that we're going to do things to a certain standard. And if you're anything like me, you're like, hey, I don't know how you're going to do it. I don't know how this person or that person is going to do it, but I know to me it's going to be up to a certain standard. And so we have to trust God with that, because God is sovereign. He literally is the God of the universe. There's nothing that you can do that He can't do better. There's nothing that you can do more efficiently than Him, because He knows your beginning from your end. He literally is the Alpha and Omega. And so in order to even get to a place of rest, these are the foundations that you're going to have in place. You have to trust Him. And in order to trust Him, you have to know Him. And when you rest, you will be amazed at how far and how much God is able to accomplish that you would have never been able to accomplish. God literally reminded me of that all throughout 2023. I'll give you guys some backstory. I started 2023 needing a vehicle. And for those that know me, my vehicle is how I make most of my money, especially my weekly money and things like that. And so I didn't have enough money to put down a significant down payment to get the car that I really wanted. I was adamant about getting the SUV because I'm very tall. My mom's elderly, she doesn't see very well. Thankfully, she's doing surgery now to improve her eyesight, but at that time she was like really blind, and I take my son around and all this type of stuff. And so with the amount of money that I had mixed with obviously my credit score and things like that, it was like closed door after closed door after closed door. Like everybody wanted more, because the car industry right now, used car sales especially, is really going through it. It's not what it used to be before the pandemic. And so I got to a place where I was like, God, I take my hand off the steering wheel. I literally went to dealerships I had been to before. I tried friends of friends. I tried all the ways that I could think of, and nothing worked. And I literally got to a place of surrender. And I will say, a part of resting is surrendering, where I said, God, I'm done. Like, you know, the only way that I'm going to get this car is if you make a way, and ultimately you know what I need. Like, I'm telling you what I need, but you know my heart, you know the stress I'm feeling, you know the anxiety. Well, fast forward to April, I got the car that, not necessarily that I wanted, but I got an SUV, and I love my car. I named her Grace because she's an example of God's grace in my life to extend this to me and to get an amazing deal on it. And it didn't come until I rested. Once I got the car, I get back into my old ways of hustling, grinding, you know, doing all these things. And there were different things along the way that I tried to accomplish with business or just in my personal life. And God reminded me, again, if you don't rest, take your hand off the steering wheel, stop stressing, stop thinking about the next move you gotta make. Just trust me, live for today. Tomorrow has enough worry of its own. He reminded me of all that, and it wasn't until I got to that place in those scenarios that he actually like showed up and showed out. He's always covering us, he's always making a way for us, but it wasn't until I said, you know what, you got it, God, and I took a step back. That's when those breakthroughs came. That's when those open doors came. That's when the overflow of blessings came, because blessings were coming, but that's when the overflow started to come. Even in my love life, it wasn't until I literally got to a place, and this happened before this year, before 2023, but 2023, it just got even stronger. It wasn't until I got to a place where I was like, I'm good. Like, you know, at the end of the day, thy will be done. You know, I desire marriage. You know, I desire, you know, for my son to have a father present in the home and things like that. You know my heart, Lord. You know what I want before I even know what I want. So I don't need to stress it. When I got to that place and I started to really enjoy the journey, enjoy where I was, enjoy today for today, that's when I started to meet more quality men. That's when I started to go on way better dates. Like, this year has probably been one of the best years of my life when it comes to dating and actual potential suitors. And I did not go out of my way for that. I literally was meeting guys, just living my life, just doing what I do, walking in purpose, leaning on the Lord. And it wasn't until I reached that place of rest. You can't rest and have your hand on the steering wheel. You can't rest and try to manipulate the situation to go how you want. And honestly, rest is the ultimate act of faith. Nothing exemplifies your faith in God more than resting, because that's telling God that I truly trust you. And it's so anti-cultural in this day and age that we live in. It's the hustle culture. Get after it. Like I said, this is the new year. Everybody's like, yeah, I got my goals, I got my plans. And I'm not saying don't plan. You know, definitely write the plan down, you know, write the action plan, all that, the goals, everything. Like, we have to be wise. We have to help God help us. You know what I'm saying? So rest is not laziness. Rest is not saying I'm not going to do anything and God's just going to let everything fall into my lap. You have to work for things. You have to be strategic. But it's also understanding that I'm not going to work myself to the bone. I'm not going to do the most to try to make this happen in my timing, in my way. And it's understanding that thy will be done. If something doesn't happen the way that you had planned for it to happen, or it tends to go left, quote unquote, because nothing really goes left with God. It might be unexpected, but you know, it's not necessarily going off the rails. If things don't go how you had prayed and imagined, it's understanding that there's a greater plan at work, because God has many plans for us. No matter what decision you make this year, no matter what detour you might make, no matter what course of action you might take or whatever, there's nothing you could do to ruin God's plan for your life, because he has many plans for you. That's plural. So he knows every path that will happen if you make any decision possible. He knows what will happen even if you go off the rails. You know, he knows what will happen if you detour off of what he told you to do. And he's accounted for all of that. So that doesn't mean, again, that we don't seek his face and we don't do our part, but we understand that we don't have to stress it, because what's for us will happen. And it's understanding that I'm going to surrender to your plan. So I'm bringing my goals to you, God. I'm saying, hey, this is what I would like to accomplish. But ultimately, like, if you have something planned for me better or different than what I'm saying, then that's fine, because I'm going to rest in you and your direction and guidance in my life. And so rest has changed my life this year. And I learned the hard way on some things, and other things I didn't learn the hard way, but it really did change my life. It changed my life in business. It changed my life in my love life. It changed my life in, you know, work and all these things, in motherhood, resting in God and trusting his plan. Even coming on this trip, I'm recording this video from Guyana, South America right now for you guys. and this is where my family's from. So I came for the holidays, and I was trying to get this trip done a certain way, and it had to be this way, and I had to be on this flight and all this type of stuff. But God worked everything out in only the way that he could when I rested. And again, I said, that's it, God. And I can't fully put it into words, but it's like an emotion and a mindset. Like, I know what it feels like when I'm truly in a place of rest. And typically, like I said, it feels like surrender. It's like, God, like, I'm not even stressing this anymore. Like, I'm not gonna replay scenarios in my head. I'm not gonna be thinking of plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I'm not gonna be thinking of the next move I gotta make. I'm not gonna try to get ahead of things and account for this and account for that. No, I have faith that it's gonna happen. You're gonna make it happen, and it's gonna happen in a way that is exceedingly and abundantly beyond what I could ever ask or think. And so we just have to understand that it's going to be anti-cultural. Don't get caught up in the hustle and the bustle and, I got to accomplish all these things this year and all this type of stuff. Somewhere along the way, and there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want to do, of course, but somewhere along the way, we've lost the simplicity of rest. We've lost the simplicity of resting in faith. We want to accomplish so much in a year, and we put so much pressure on ourselves to accomplish these things, when we could just really be like, God, here are 3 to 5 things I want to accomplish at the most, and the rest is up to you, and just leave it up to him and see what he does. Like, I really challenge you in 2024 and beyond to display the ultimate act of faith and rest in God. When you find yourself tempted to work yourself to the bone, rest. Shut off the laptop, go home. That's a word for me, because like I said, I work for myself, and it's easy to be like, I gotta get it while the getting is good, so one of the things that I do is Uber Eats and Lyft. And so those of you who participate in the gig work economy, you understand that some months, some weeks are better than others. And so it can be very tempting to just work, go, get it while the getting is good. I don't want to go home. I just got this big order. But I've really been challenged this year, and when I tell you I never missed anything that I needed to take care of, God always sent a helper. He always made a way. When I was tempted to keep working, there'll be times, let's say I'm starting to get tired, and a really big order or pickup comes in. I'm like, ooh, that's paying $30. Let me go ahead and take it. But in the end, it really wasn't worth it, because it's like, okay, I took it, but that money was gone before I could even really feel it, before I could even see the impact of it. Versus when I chose to rest more and say, you know what? Yeah, this big order came in, but I'm giving myself boundaries. I'm giving myself parameters so that I can exemplify rest and trust God to make a way for me. I saw my way better if I regulated myself to say, okay, I'm gonna work 6 hours, not a minute more, and I go home. Even if I didn't make the goal that I set out to make, some way, somehow, someone's cash apping me money, or I get a check in the mail, or someone's like, let me help you with this bill, or whatever. So God always made a way. He always made a way, and I did not have to break my back to do anything. There were many years I broke my back to do things. There were many years that I was like, I gotta keep up with the hustle culture and all that. I've been there, done that with a lot of different things in life, and it didn't pay off. It really didn't pay off. All it did was leave me tired, beaten down, discouraged, weary, and at the end of the day, that's not what God wants for us. He wants to give us rest. How can we say we have faith in him and we're not resting? So he wants you to rest. He wants you to trust in him. That's the ultimate act of faith. It truly is the ultimate act of faith. Say, you know what? I'm not going to do too much. I'm going to trust you, God. So I challenge you in 2024 to truly rest in the Lord. Stop yourself from participating in hustle culture. Stop yourself from working yourself to the bone, and say, God, you got it. Write the plan, make it plain, let God know what your plans are, what your goals are, and be willing to pivot if he says to pivot. Be willing to sit down if he says this is your season to sit down. It's okay. It doesn't mean you're a failure. It doesn't mean you're behind. It means that you're obedient and you're trusting God. And that's what we want. We want to show not only ourselves, but we want to show the people in our lives and the world what the ultimate act of faith looks like, and nothing beats it besides rest. So remember, Matthew 11:28, come to me all who are weary and heavy burdened, and I will give you rest. May your 2024 be filled with rest, extreme faith, and major breakthroughs in Jesus' name. Love y'all.